Do you remember when leaving the house meant actually disappearing? Not metaphorically, for real. No location pin, no read receipts, no quiet pressure to stay visible. You just left, and the world waited for you to come back. If you were born somewhere between the late 70s and the mid 80s, you grew up in one reality and came of age in a completely different one, and that switch flipped right inside your nervous system. You're not quite Gen X. They carry that hardened independence, that fully analog self-reliance. But you're not a true millennial either. The internet wasn't your cradle, you landed in between. And that in-between place is strange. You understand everyone, but you don't fully belong anywhere. As a kid, boredom was normal, not a problem to fix, not a signal to grab a screen. It was just quiet, and out of that quiet, you created things. The backyard became a universe. A stick became a sword. The carpet was lava. You learned to generate life from imagination. That's not nostalgia. That's psychological training. You knew how to wait for your favorite song on the radio, for a call on the landline, for a friend who said they'd show up at 6. If they didn't come, you simply didn't know why, and that was fine. Patience grew in that waiting. Uncertainty didn't equal panic. Now compare that to today. A message unanswered for 5 minutes, and anxiety creeps in. But the real shift happened later, during adolescence, when the internet entered your life. You were old enough to remember before, young enough to master after. You became bilingual. You speak the language of real presence, eye contact, pauses, silence, and you speak the language of online identity, usernames, avatars, curated bios. For you, the internet was a place you went, you logged on. There was a boundary, a door, and then one day the door disappeared. Work moved into email. Friends moved into group chats, news moved into feeds, memory moved into the cloud. You didn't leave the internet anymore. The internet became the air. That's not just a tech update. That's a psychological shift. Because part of your nervous system still expects pauses, intervals, time when being unreachable is normal. But now that space doesn't exist by default. You have to carve it out. Add the timing. You grew up in the 90s when the future looked bright. Study hard, work hard. Things will keep improving. Then the dot-com bubble burst. Then 9/11. Then the 2008 financial crisis. Each one landing right as you were building momentum. That creates a specific mindset. You're not pessimistic, but you don't trust stability blindly. You hope and you keep a backup plan. You're not dramatic. You're just prepared. At work, you're often in the middle. You understand older colleagues and you understand younger ones. You explain to one side why midnight emails aren't harmless, to the other why some systems don't change overnight. You're a translator, and translators are only noticed when something breaks. At home, you're in the middle too. Your parents are aging. Your kids are growing up in a world you're still trying to decode yourself. Their childhood is partially public. Their mistakes can stick. Their social lives don't end when school does. You want to give them the freedom you had, but you know the context is different, and that's where a quiet ache shows up. Not nostalgia, just the awareness that your version of childhood can't be recreated exactly. Here's the twist. You're not broken, you're not lost, you're not a blurry micro-generation. Your adaptation in real time, your psyche formed in quiet and matured in noise. You can live online, but you remember what offline feels like. You know what fragmented attention does, and you know what focused attention feels like. And in a world of constant connection, people who remember pause become valuable. People who can tolerate boredom become creative. People who don't panic in silence become resilient. Maybe you've been telling yourself you just don't fit, or maybe you're a bridge. And bridges aren't about belonging to one side, they're about connection. Without them, the shores exist, but they don't meet. If you recognize yourself in this, stop treating it like a flaw. It's a skill. It's lived transition. And right now, that matters more than it seems.